Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
How many of you were here for my icebreaker? And who can help me remember the reason why I joined the Toastmaster?
Your life.
Ice cream. Yes. Right. Ice cream. But I have a confession to make.
No.
It's not the real reason. Instead, the real reason is that I'm not a good public speaker, and I also have trouble in getting my idea understood in the private conversation. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and honored guests, we all have role model in our lives. My role model as a child is my Uncle Army. And you see, he's a typical Chinese, deep in the way of Asian Chinese tradition. Speak less, do more. In other words, keep your mouth shut and get things done. And you might not have noticed, but I will share your secret with you all. I'm Chinese. Therefore, I follow the example of Uncle Army and practice this core value. Speak less, do more. However, since I came to US, I start to question, why? Why we Chinese have this tradition as one of our core values? And why do we value the unspoken word, which is written word, more than the spoken word? And the answer is in our history. And today, I would like to tell you the story of three groups in ancient China: the priests, the kings, and the workers. First, the priests. The ancient Chinese thought the only way to communicate with God is through the written word rather than the prayer. So to speak with God, one must use the written word, which is a written character. And those written character is created by the priests. And the priests subscribe a person's word to God in written format. And they are the only people at that time know how to write. Hence, they held immense power among the people. Realizing that their power and influence may wane, they make characters so complicated, so only they can understand. Trust me, this is not tattoo or patent, this is my name. It's not a map, it's my name. This whole system is so complicated. And we also get the same system in the US. It's called the United States Tax Code. The second group I would like to talk about is the king. The king in ancient China ruled over a huge country. In the huge country, over time, the dialects spoken became disjoint and misunderstood from one area to another. To this day, the Cantonese is spoken in Hong Kong, and Mandarin is spoken in the rest of China. I don't really want to confuse you, but the way to relate how dialects work would be how the English language is spoken in the United States. Like in the North, they call it Yankee. In South, they call it redneck. In California, It's called poor loser. And the best way for the king to govern the huge empire is through the audit submitted to him using the written word on the paper. And that makes the unspoken word more important than the spoken word. And the last group I would like to talk about today is workers. Understand, in ancient China, the best job you can get or work for the king. And the only way to get that job was through a national exam. And that exam was to test only ability of writing rather than speaking. So if you can pass this exam, you can get a pretty decent job. But if you cannot, you're gonna have a life of hard labor staring you in the face. Once again, that makes the unspoken word more important than the spoken word. Inclusion. Now we can see why this unspoken word was such a powerful tool in ancient China, when there was no TV, no cell phone, and no internet. But time changed, people changed, modern technology emerged. We have to look beyond the unspoken word. If you remember Uncle Ami, he's still my role model today. In fact, he's a professor in college and a very active talker. He gives lectures to thousands of students every week. And and his new philosophy is speaking is doing. So I do the same thing. I have to look beyond the unspoken word. That's the reason why I joined the Toastmaster.